Right, hello. We're going to try to make this digital elevation more suitable to the reality that's on the ground. So when you look at the video footage that we have, so we're looking at the ground truthing from the video, and we see that there is this downslope, and we see that the wall is about, it must be, if that's a person there and they're about, let's just call them almost 6 feet tall, and let's say that then there's another half. So usually it's about a, well, it's about a 10-foot wall that people usually have. And if it's a 5 feet, 5 feet would be 10. Maybe it's a 12-foot wall. So if it was a 12-foot wall, then you have also about, that would be, I guess I could take a ruler and measure that. So we're going to look at these as either being 10-foot squares or 12-foot squares. We can just try to start with 12, but if you look at the people standing there and figure if that was somebody who was 5'9", then up there is double that, and so that would be 11'8", which is 4 inches shorter than 12. We'll start with 12 and see what that does. So when we come in here, we're going to have to make these wall sections and then decide how to make the buildings go down. But one thing is for sure is that when we look at this from the top, and this is with the mesh undecimated, then obviously when we do a rotation in Z, if it'll let me, no, it's just the view I want to rotate. All right. So obviously the buildings would have been leveled. So there would be flat surfaces here and here. So if we said, all right, you know what, we'll take this box and we'll say that somebody took this landscape and made it flat, and that is flat according to the digital elevation map. So we're not too concerned with that, except that when we look at the actual video, we can see that that is underneath somewhere. So this is where it gets just a bit challenging. Like already the slope immediately goes down, and so the first building past the greenhouse, which would be this, that's the greenhouse there. Even the greenhouse is underneath the ground. So we've got the greenhouse, we've got the first building, and we've got the second building, and they're all down on a slope with an angle which looks to be about, I don't know if it's 30 or 40 degrees. And we're not going to have the time to do everything literally, but we can say, all right, let's bring GZ, let's bring this down a little bit, and then let's go and grab this and bring this building down. And it even has the slope, so we know how far to bring this one down. We want to bring it down to the bottom of what the DEM says. So maybe what we could do is pick a point down here, and the Z is -6305, whereas up here at the top it is -36, 316. Oops, I did that wrong. Top vertex is, let's see, so we've got -36183, and then down at the bottom here it's -36509. So if we were to take this whole thing and bring it down to, we'll have to get the whole thing, so I'm going to twist this a little bit more. And actually twist this a little more. Let's see if it's just not easy to grab all of this, but if I were to grab all of this side, -509, and go -36509. Was that what it was? See, now I've messed up. So let's just look at it again. The downslope point was -3651. There's the 509. -36509. So let me actually copy that. into the buffer. And now, oops, Z on that, and get out of the selection. And bring this drop into Z this figure. So now we have, oh, but of course isn't that interesting? The whole thing got moved down by that factor, but not to where we wanted. So that's not going to work. We have to flatten this out. One way we could do it, I suppose, is to go to sculpt mode, and then in sculpt mode we can, there's smoothing and there's flattening. So if we were to flatten this, could we flatten it down in sculpt mode? And it doesn't seem to be doing much of anything. So flatten doesn't do anything. Smoothing can do only so much. And maybe the way to do it, this is going to be very interesting to see. Pose, side relax, crease, blob, flatten. It doesn't seem, maybe it has to be selected, but it shouldn't have to be. But we can try it and go out of sculpt mode again, and oh, that is selected. So if you go to sculpt mode, yeah, it is sculpting, as you can see from over there, but it's not, certainly flattening isn't working. So maybe we should come into here and try to select individual points instead of bringing it down. And say that negative 36,509 that we had there, what if we took a couple of points, let's just see what happens here, and go negative 36,509. They go down. And where do they go to? Let's check out one of those points. No, there's some very negative 36, 509, negative 36, 508, negative 36, 507. Well, and we can continue to try and punch out parts of this and bring it down. The thing is, it's a median that we're looking at. You see, then it punches under. So that transform of the median is not quite right. And what we want is the vertex itself. And if we could get each of these vertices to that point, then we'd have it flattened out. And it somehow does the math so that you can't get into multiple at a time. But that's how we're going to be able to do it, individual points. Gee, that's going to take a long time. And that's not fun. I wonder if we go to global, because that was local, if we are in global and we say each of these points, they're all different. That's what's so strange in global. And we really want to get them to go down. If we grab these top points, first we have to grab these and see sort of what the average there works out, the median. So we grab the median from here in global now, copy it, and then we grab a median, paste a median here. Oops. No. Oh, that's bad. Okay. We grab a median down here. Now they're in global. Okay. And then we grab the points here and give them the same median. It might work. Let's just keep trying. Huh, that may be the ticket. Maybe it should have been done in global and not local. No, that didn't work because there were some points that were on the bottom. Yeah, it's kind of working. If I take that point and just do that individual point, what happens? Take that point, paste it in. Yeah, not horrible. Grab these points here, and even though they're on a bit of a slope, let's see what happens. It looks like they went flat. So what happens if I then take the entire section? Probably it's going to make the other points down there dip down even lower. And that will be a problem. Yeah, it did. It made them dip under like that. So we can't do that. We just have to use the surface points with this approach. But let's just keep trying out. Nope, that definitely dipped down under because it's calculating a median from points. So I'm going to have to look this up, I guess. I mean, we can certainly. Nope, didn't get that. Oh, that. So it's a slow process, and I'm going to put you on pause and then see if I can work it out. Right, so I'm going to ask ChatGPT how to do this, and let's see what Chat comes up with for us. I've sent the picture in of what I'm trying to do, and it tells us to level out the floor. You can use a few techniques to specific. Use the scale to 0 technique on the z-axis. Select the desired vertices. Align them to the same z level. Press S to scale. And press Z to constrain the scaling. Type 0. That's just like the median value of the z versus. Then adjust the z position. And then there's a set position. Set Z. To press N to define the Z position fields. No, but it doesn't do that. Know that. And then use proportional editing for a smooth transition. Okay, so that's what we're going to have to try to do. So it obviously is not going to work with the median value, but we'll try the scale to 0 thing. If I grab, again, go into here and grab all of these points, for example, and then I hit scale Z 0, then they're flattened. So I suppose I should just grab the whole lot of them. Let me try this again. So now we're gonna. This is not lined up. So get that lined up, and then grab all those and go scale Z 0. Oopsie. Well, that was messy. You know, you have to get all these others that are in there as well. So when that happens, like even that one there is problematic. And then we have these ones here. And apparently there's one deep down in there. So once again, scale Z 0, enter. And now that they're there, flattened, I should be able to drop in that point that I wanted, which was down here, 3074. I guess that's okay. We can use that. Let me go back to that, and oh, I didn't collect the value. 3095. They're not perfect, but now go back. Is it going to keep in the buffer what I have? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's okay. We're getting there because this is the way that it would be. So again, if we pick this value here and take this Z, and then we grab these points along the top. Oh, no, they won't work. Here we're probably going to have to go in and get the individual points because I've sort of messed things up. So at least here, at those ridges, maybe we just need to go into here. And tell all those points that we want them to be at, including that one, that we want them to be at this. That didn't work. You said, and that didn't work. It's always this median value thing. It's a pain. So I guess we have to go ahead and go to the zeroing function, or it's not really going to work. So we would say of these, scale in Z to 0, and then that they're all flat, we can put in the value that we want, and they come in. All right. So that's a technique, right, that we're going to use, and we have to do the same thing for this last bit, which is here at 3.06, and here we had 3.0906. Do we want to follow the contours of the DEM, or do we want to make it a little deeper? That's a question, but I think we'll probably make it a little deeper. So we'll grab these points, because we can always build the building up. That's the thing about buildings, right? If we want to, the other buildings that stick out here can be brought up. So if we say about this, hey, you know what? We want a S for scale, Z for 0 for Z-axis, and 0 for 0, and then hit enter, and then we say, no, I want to bring that down. I can literally grab G and Z and drop this foundation down so that we have an interesting slope. So that's pretty good, I think. Whether the wall will work for that, because this whole valley slopes down as well. So probably then what I have to do is I need to make this slope down more gently so I can put in my wall. And probably the best way to do that is to start building the wall. Let me save this. Start building the wall and bring in a cube, or I grab the wall. No, this wall I'm going to bring a cube. So let me bring my cube on and drop it over here and rotate it and make it scaled down, and then bring it up. And then we'll say that the height here in meters, if we're 12 feet, we're about 4 meters. So in the scale, if we made this, I'm not sure what the scale is, oh, meters, 1.22. So the dimensions here could be 4 meters, and move that up. And then scale this out. I'll use edit mode, and I'll grab this face here, and then I will move that. And it's hard to get the but really to go to, we said we're going to do blocks of about 4 meters. And maybe, let me think about this for a second. Maybe we should do this in object mode, and we should just scale it in the local y-axis, or whatever axis this is. Local, let's try to see if we try 4 meters there, yeah. So that would give us the ability to grab this, start here, then let's look at our reference video again. It's obviously thinner over there than before, so maybe that's 2 meters on the side there. So we come in here and actually we'll take this and duplicate it, so Shift D, and then move this along that axis like that. And we're going to say you are actually 2 meters. And then there's a piece of wall. And that piece of wall would be 4 meters, and it has these decorations on the top. But we can deal with that later. So after that, we have one 4 meter piece, and this piece here looks like it's not 4 meters, it's not 2, maybe it's 3 meters, but it's at the edge of the road. So we should be able to adjust this so that first wall section is at the edge of the path. I mean, that's something we can see from here. And then we would put the next section in, and doing that like that. And then we're going to start moving our sections in according to that video. So there's one section there, then it goes down a little bit, and it looks like it goes down by about 1 meter, maybe less. So if we move that section and we make this dimension in Z, no, we don't make it Z, we bring it down like that, bring it down a meter. So actually the location instead of 7.5 would be 6.5, and then we duplicate it and move it over in Y, and then we bring that down to 5.5, and then we bring the next one down. Let's see if it really goes down every single one. Let's see. So this one goes down, this one goes down. Sometimes they do look a little longer, so they're not exact. So it looks like, but it doesn't cover the complete greenhouse, as you can see. So there's one section, 2 sections, 3 sections. the fourth section, and then the wall begins. It seems. I mean, the building. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get to there. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that kind of works out because then the building begins. So bring this down to 4.5. And then we'll just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the building begins, and the building stays just below the height of 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth section. And then it drops down a little more than a meter. So if our next sections are this, and we go down 0.5 meter, and then the next one is at 0.5 meter, and these can actually, because they are wall for this, we can move the dimensions in the y-axis longer. Let's say we make these each 6, and then move it over. And then we don't need this one again. We can take this and duplicate it, move it over. Yeah, so now we're getting something that more or less works. This is not perfect. And that should be a little bit longer. So I'm going to make this dimension, make it 4.5. Okay. Yeah, I'm beginning to like the feel of this. And then I'll just turn off the recording in a second. We do want to make sure that the ground is on a continuous slope down. And if I go into sculpt mode and look at the points, it's going to be really hard to figure out how to expose that. And I wonder if there's a way in edit mode, if we get out of this object. If we get out of this object and pick this object, how would it be? And what is the, let's see, backwards here. How would it be if we wanted to bring a slope down? I'm going to go back to asking ChatGPT about that. Alright, so I've put those two pictures in to ask ChatGPT how to do my slope, and it is telling me that I should use proportional editing. So the first thing it's asking me to do is to select the area that I want to slope down, and I don't mind using the regular DEM for the places outside of the nursery. That's okay, but I don't want the nursery to be sloping down later, because in reality it slopes down before these walls, as you can see in here. So it is incumbent on me to select enough of the landscape that I want to modify, and I can use the C tool to select landscape if I'm in edit mode. Yeah, okay. Stop. Okay. So if I'm in, can't seem to get this to move. There we go. If I'm working with this mesh, I really want to select with the C, all of these points, including the ones that are inside the wall, this is sort of the landscape that has to follow this whole slope. Now, if I do this down to the bottom, oh, that's a little messy. Stop that. Stop that. Maybe I can do better by using the box tool and grab from the top of the wall down. That gives me a better line. And so it says to turn on the proportional editing tool. That's this one here, proportional editing. And then pick a, maybe I do a linear or I do a smooth. Let's see, it says at chat, tells me to enable proportional editing, select smooth or linear, position the starting edge for the slope, move the selected vertices slightly if needed to mark the start. Press G. If you want it to align, we'll make sure you select the edge closest as your point. So we're using edges? That's hard to know. So I'm not sure, I've never used this before, but if I wanted to move stuff down proportionally, G and Z, so G, see, nothing's happening. Maybe because this is so many vertices. G and Z. Ooh, okay, that was bad. So it's too much for this thing to handle. So that's maybe not going to work. If I try linear, just doing all these calculations, and linear, G and Z. Wow, okay, that's not good. What if I go displace G, and I'm using, wow, that didn't work. So how do you do it? Tool, after tool, mean bevel weight, mean crease. Maybe if I keep proportion on and instead of being an edit, if I go to sculpt mode, does sculpt mode even have a proportional editing? Doesn't seem to. Because I'm really trying to smooth these vertices out and down below. That would be smoothing. So that's not doing any great reveal. Terrain tools are tough. Clay, draw sharp, layer, blob, crease, smooth, fill, scrape, multi-plane, scrape. What does scrape do? It's not going to drop any of this down. So yeah, we're not really getting much love from this. If we're in edit mode, we also are facing some problems which chat does not give us help with. Let me see if I select many fewer points. If I just do a strip like to this part of the wall for now. And then I say to it G and Z. Alright, and I do a rotate. No, that's a rotate around Z. What if it's a rotate around X? Okay. So that can work. It should be bigger probably then. Maybe I can get if I take a larger chunk and literally bring it to the bottom here. This is going to be dicey, but we'll try. If I take this and I say to it that I want to rotate along X. And the only problem with that is that I'm trying to do a section that's already on the ground. So I really will have to confine it to, I'll have to confine it to this and then do it again before the slope goes down. So I can add a little bit more to that. I can add shift and do up to here and add that, so that's part of it. So if I now take that and rotate it in X, it's not supposed to get any higher than, again, okay, so now I'm seeing, of course, when you look at the reference image, this is all level and then it starts going down. So the door shouldn't be where we start. We should start with where the greenhouse begins. We should start somewhere like here and then go down to about there and then rotate in X. And then we have to bring it down. Easy, whoops. Slowly. You can handle it, computer. Something like that. And then we would take the rest of this, come off of that, and we would take the rest of the points here. Need to really move this more like this. Take the rest of the points here and bring them down. And we have this whole ridge of points here that is a mess. But I think we'll be able to get those because I can come in now with the sculpting brush and I should be able to now use my flatten tool to flatten. It'll let me strength, radius, strength, pressure, direction. Is this actually working? Hard to know. And we know we got to bring these down. I mean, when you're sculpting, when you do draw, you know, you're really working these vertices. And it's a landscape, so I think we should be able to bring all these. Well, that's drawing them up. Draw sharp clay. If we work on it like clay, we can merge a lot of those points because we're messing with the landscape as if it was clay. Okay. So there's still a massive ridge here that needs to be smoothed down. And clay thumb, press that stuff. And it's just I've never used these tools like this. So when we say flatten, Like, hey, flatten this, will you? Like even these points, they're not letting themselves be flattened. That absolutely sucks. And yet, we're on to something here. If I make my radius bigger, then I'm filling in this flatten tool. I got a real mess there. And if I make my radius smaller, try to get these knit in, I still am having problems with these. But the basic idea is there. If I could just get this stupid mountain down now, flatten that down, what would that look like? So here I'm bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down. Am I? Something is happening. If you look at here, it just isn't. It's like these vertices got all complex and they need to be flattened. You can't be doing that. So concept is strong, will is weak. And what happens if we just select in edit mode? We select that bunch. Can we tell it, like, can I take a point from here, which is 2.975, and then go and grab all of this? And again, we're going to have this averaging thing that we had. But maybe we can scale this to 0, or we'll just try and see what happens when we put that into there. That's really bad. So scale Z 0, that flattened everything. What about then these points along this ridge? Like, shouldn't they be flattened to 0? Because they're all messed up. So if we said scale Z 0, they would flatten, and then we could tell them to go down to the bottom, which makes a cavern in there, which I'm not totally displeased with, because I have the wall. So that's like an excavation. So let's see now, if I go into object mode, we can work with that. I think we can begin to, I mean, there's obviously some inconsistencies there, like this point here got really messed up and should be brought down. This point here should be brought down. So there's going to be a lot of doctoring that we're going to have to do. But we do have control over the landscape at this level. And even if I grab parts of the ridge, start bringing things down a little bit, that just will just chalk up to uneven terrain. Not that, but that. I don't want that either. Now this is where like occlusion helps, but I just want to get stuff that's in here. And sometimes you can just go, I don't want to simplify that. You can take that and you can say select linked. That does everything. Didn't want that. All right, what about select shortest path? something like that. And then bring those down, and then do that one and bring it down, and bring it down, and again to select, and then shortest path. Didn't do anything. All right. Another thing we can do that makes it easier is to go into the faces, and it's easier to select faces that we see, and then after we've selected them as faces, you can go down and bring them down. You'd want to get rid of the bottom faces. Ah, shoot. Right, that didn't look so well either. So it's just going to be painstaking work to try to bring these things into some coherence. But it's a far damn sight better than what we had before. And we can continue our excavation. This here can be Shift D duplicated and then GY moved over and then brought down by the usual 1 meter that we've been doing. And then because we're at the same building, we can Shift D, GY, move it over again to the other building. And it's the same. Let's make this a little larger by scaling it in Y and then making it what we said last time. We said that we would make it is about 3 meters. No, it's wrong. I just did this wrong. That's the location. The scale should be 4 here, and then move it over, and then this one here can be 4 as well. So covering that up, and then we can grab this one and move it down to here and bring it down by, well, we have to do it by location. We'll go to 3. I'll bring it to 2. Yeah, and then Shift D, Shift Y, and bring this one down to 1 meter. Shift B, and move it over. And that would be the bottom. However, probably these are just going to have to be moved up to 2 meters because that's the bottom of the DEM, the landscape. So we go up to that. Alright, so now we have the possibility to make a wall that follows the slope down and seems to mirror what we're seeing here. It's not
very located.
There you go. So this one, then it goes down to that one, and again it is level for the length of the building, then it goes down. And then it does this sort of rigid thing here. We don't have complete information on that, but it should work for our possibility, for our capabilities. So that's where we're going to stop for today on this. It is a bit of a challenge, but we're going to try to get all those points smoothed out. It shouldn't be impossible. It's just this is the first day that I've worked with any of these tools before, but there is the smooth, and it doesn't seem like it's doing much, but it probably is. Doing some healing in there, strength. So we can just keep experimenting with these tools and see how we can get our landscape better modeled. But I think we're getting there. Now we can work on the staircase and all that stuff. All right, I'll upload this and then continue later on today.